Hello everyone and welcome to my Wealth Odyssey. This is the portfolio update for December 2025. I started 2025 with nothing and made my first deposit into my stocks and shares ISA back in April, and I've been building it ever since. And each month I'm hoping that I'm one step closer to that dream of financial freedom. This channel is all about documenting my journey to the million with all the wins, setbacks and lessons along the way. But before we dive into the actual portfolio and what happened in December, let's have a look where we left things in November. As you can see on the screen, November was a brutal month, my worst month to date, with a paper loss of £4,725.12. However, I've had some very good months beforehand, and yes, I am a little bit higher on the risk curve in terms of the stocks that I'm choosing. However, my portfolio by the end of November had still returned almost £4,000 worth of profit, which, given that I started with nothing at the beginning of this year, is a fantastic return. So at the beginning of December, I added a further £2,250 to the account, which brings my total invested from my salary to £16,000. On the left hand side of the table, you'll see here that I was hoping by this stage I would have actually invested £8,000, so it's quite nice that it's actually double, and that's due to me saving as much as possible, and really pleased with that. I'm not sure if that will continue in terms of pace, but as long as I can actually keep with the £500 per month minimum, I'll be very pleased indeed. So now let's have a look at the portfolio. You'll see there that the three quantum stocks in the bottom rows of the spreadsheet are now free money, and psychologically that's really good for me. So I've managed to pull my initials out of those investments, and now I'm quite happy to let the free money ride, and psychologically that's fantastic, and it means that because I want to hold these stocks for a minimum of, I'm guessing, 4 or 5 years until quantum computing really accelerates and starts actually generating money rather than this kind of research stage, it's nice just to sit back, and I can now take that volatility to the downside and also to the upside. In the first 4 rows you can see my active positions, and that I contributed £2,000 to my ARKit position, which I'll talk about in a little while. I added a further £500 to Inflection under the ticker CCCX, and that is trading under Churchill Capital until their SPAC goes through, probably in Q1 of 2026. I didn't add any further money to Rich Tech Robotics, and then a new position which I had previously sold out from, and that is Bitfarms. So I've added £1,000 to Bitfarms, that used to specialise predominantly in Bitcoin mining, but is actually moving now towards data centres, and they've got a number of data centres within the US. So I think they're a stock that can actually do quite well in the future. So that brings, in terms of my actively invested money, to £6,250, and I've got a cash reserve of £10,000. That's quite a lot of cash I've got sitting on the side, and I'm looking to deploy that into the markets when I find those right opportunities at the right prices. That money is currently receiving approximately 4% daily interest in my Trading 212 account. You might be looking at my portfolio and thinking, wow, that's quite heavily correlated towards the actual quantum computing sector, and I do believe that it will be transformational in the future. However, that is for a good reason. Back in the mid-2000s, we had a big format war between Blu-ray and HD DVD, two massive rivals for the high-definition disc standards to replace DVDs. Now, of these two massive formats, they were backed by different electronics companies and film studios. Blu-ray was led by Sony, while HD DVD was backed by Toshiba and was cheaper to manufacture and launch slightly earlier. They battled it out in terms of studio support and hardware sales, until there was a tipping point around about 2008 when the major studios and retailers, including Warner Brothers and Walmart, I believe, backed Blu-ray. Shortly afterwards, Toshiba actually abandoned HD DVD, leaving Blu-ray as a clear winner and the dominant high-definition physical media format. So the reason I'm just going back into the archives essentially to talk about this is because I'm investing into these quantum computing plays, and I don't know which company potentially might go on to do a 10 to 100x because that is definitely possible and on the cards in the long term, I believe. You can see on the screen here the companies that I've invested in terms of the quantum space. So they all approach quantum computing from a slightly different angle. Now, which one will win out? Potentially, one of these may go on and actually obliterate the competition, a little bit like Blu-ray did. However, I don't know which one potentially would be that, or potentially all four companies may go on and be very successful. And that's why I'm trying to have my eggs in different baskets, and we'll just see in the future which companies go on to be more successful. Now with IonQ, Rigetti and D-Wave, I'm already sitting in free money. So that money now is house money. So I can just sit back, relax, and just see how things play out. Inflection is a newer company that I'm actually started to invest into. And I think that has actually massive potential, potentially even bigger than the three that I'm already sitting in with free money. So I'm not going to say that I'm a Rigetti maxi or I'm a D-Wave maxi and all of this kind of stuff. I'm just trying to make intelligent decisions, realizing that we potentially might have a HD DVD situation where one might actually come to rule them all. So I want to be best positioned to actually take advantage of that. And for me, the best way is to have a lottery ticket into each one of the big companies. So yeah, I hope you find that useful in terms of understanding why my portfolio is currently as it is. And yes, it is a little bit risky at the moment, but I think in the long term, and this is a long-term portfolio, I hope that I will be well positioned. Again, we'll just have to come back and wait and see. Now, just very quickly, I want to talk about Arkit. So this month I've added £2,000 and I brought my average down, you'll see on screen, down to 33.80. I actually made a purchase at around about 32 for that £2,000. However, as you can see on screen, the price continued to come down. In fact, it went all the way down to about $21.50. So even though I bought at 31.5, I thought that was the local bottom, it continued to fall by another 33%, which is not great. But why did I do that? Well, I got a little bit trigger happy, and I think that's one thing that I need to address going forwards. I need to have better rules, and this is something that over Christmas I have been thinking about, and I will be releasing a video which details my new trading rules that I'm going to adhere to in 2026. And sometimes not trading is the hardest thing to do. But yeah, it was a little bit of a mistake because you can see we pretty much come down and touch that trend line. So if I'd been more patient, I could have actually got way better prices and my average cost wouldn't have been 33.80, but potentially could have come down to around about 28 to 27. So a little bit disappointing there. And that's another lesson for me in terms of scaling in at the right times. Now, will Arkit go on and do good things? I personally think so, but again, now I just have to wait. So I've got my £3,000 position. I'm not going to be adding any more to that position. And I now just have to sit and hodl and wait. And as soon as that doubles and goes to around about $60 to $66, then I will be selling out and just letting the free money ride again. So Arkit Computing are developing quantum encryption technology. So they're using quantum key distribution and cloud-based security solutions to create really secure communications. So as the other companies grow and they have more logical qubits, then the need for Arkit and their encryption technology will only grow. So I think this is a company that will do well in the future. So now the actual reveal, and where did we finish at the end of 2025? Well, we finished with a closing balance of £18,962.08. So for the month, that was another paper loss of £517.24, leaving the portfolio profit to date at £3,462.08. So to end the year, I've ended actually with a portfolio profit of over 20%, and considering I've been adding only really in the second half of the year to the portfolio at scale, you're probably looking at over 50% really. But yeah, fantastic to see, and to consider that I started the year saving from nothing to finish the year at just shy of 19,000 is really good. And I haven't sold any positions that were in a loss, and we've taken some really nice profits along the way. So yeah, all in all, really good. I'm really pleased with my performance and the amount of reading that I've done around the space and investing in psychology. So yeah, I really hope that 2026 can accelerate even faster, as long as we don't go into a bear market. But again, have a strategy for either outcome, and I've got quite a nice cash reserve there to deploy at the right time. So now my favourite graph, this is the graph that plots the estimated invested and estimated value in the portfolio as I make my way towards that 1 million. And you can see there the orange line is the actual amount invested. So I've invested way quicker this year than I thought I would do, which is great. And the green line, and I always want this to be above the orange line if possible, that is the total profit from the actual portfolio. So you can see there a sharp decline after a meteoric rise for a couple of months. So we had 2 huge months where I made almost £4,000 each month in terms of net gains. We came down almost £4,000, and this month we're back up. So yeah, we're moving up. Even though it was a £500 loss, I still contributed, I think it was a couple of £1,000. So yep, we are moving up and into the right direction. And hopefully in the new year, the markets are favourable and we can start moving away from the orange line and closer to that £25,000 goal. Now for a bit of fun, I always like to look at this table, and this is the predicted stocks and shares ISA balance distribution holders, and I'm sitting in that fourth to bottom row at the moment, and with a closing balance of approximately £19,000, I still remain in that band. So yeah, we've been in this band for a little while now, so I'm hoping that we can actually really start pushing up in the future. But again, nothing is guaranteed within investing, and your capital is always at risk. I'm not a financial advisor, and none of this is financial advice, so you need to do your own research, and your capital is always at risk. So yes, I didn't get this Santa rally that I was kind of hoping for in December, but I hope your stocks did okay in December. And yeah, in the next few days, I'm going to be releasing a video that kind of just summarizes the journey in 2025, year 1 of the journey to the million. So yeah, look out for that one, and that's going to include all of my new trading rules that I'm going to start adhering to now that my portfolio is growing to a bigger level. So look out for that one, guys. Now, can I actually break out of that £15,000 to £20,000 row in January? Yeah, of course I can. Cheers, guys. Digga dagger.